Hare Krishna. Welcome you all for e-Gurukula sessions. And today is Tuesday. There is a story session. And as we are discussing every Tuesday, we're having a Mahabharata series. So we'll continue this Mahabharata series in our story session. And we have to understand these are not a mythology or some kind of a fiction or imaginative things, but these are the facts. These are the realities which happened in the ancient time, which happened in the past centuries, thousands and thousands of years before. Dwapar Yuga. That's what mainly the subject is about. But interesting thing is, although the characters looks little fictitious, how can somebody can have a powers? How can somebody do those things and all? No, they're like they're not like a modern people, but they're the like even we can see in our tradition culture also, our forefathers, our many other situations, and how great, how powerful they were, how heroic they were. Nowadays our strength is reduced, lifespan is reduced, memory is reduced, and unfortunate things are increased more and more. So that's what one should not think that, oh, because it is not possible nowadays, these are just a fiction stories, so just let us read for entertainment purpose. No, rather one should read for enlightenment purpose, to make our life more better. So principles remains the same, character may be different. I mean, the level of the character may not be comparable with the modern time, but the principle what are mentioned in their through their life, it's very, very relevant even for the today and for all the time to come. And that's why those wonderful episodes are been orchestrated through these episodes of Mahabharata series. And our ultimate goal, by studying all those things, one should not forget remembrance of the Lord, Krishna consciousness. That is the ultimate goal. So let us keep this spirit in mind when we study this and continue, begin with the prayers. Om Adnyana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Shakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Pyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So as we are studying this series, Mahabharata, we began with King Shantanu and his wife. What is his wife name? Remember? What is the wife name? Shantanu?
Satyavati.
Satyavati, correct. And then that's what they begot the sons, Vichitravirya, Chitrangada, and Bhishma. But somehow Bhishma was not from through Satyavati, but through other Mother Ganga actually. But Chitrangada and Vichitravirya, they died untimely. And then Bhishma was being asked for continuing the legacy, but then because he had taken a vow, right? So then Vyasdev was called, because Vyasdev was born through Satyavati and Parashar. Then Vyasdev comes, and then through Ambika, Ambalika, who are the wives of Vichitravirya. Then through them, through Ambika, the Dhritarashtra is born. Through Ambalika, the Pandu is born. But then in both the cases, the mother was not satisfied. And then finally, who was born? Third son. Anyone remember? Last. Dhritarashtra is born. Correct. That's Vidura. But unfortunately, Ambika doesn't take that pregnancy. She made the maiden there, and that's what Vidura's birth is called as a birth of a Shudra. So, but of course, although it was not a Shudra by birth, but Vidura was a great personality. Why? Because mother received the sage in a very great way. And that's what the character that, and all of us, we know Vidura's past also as such. And then the last week we read about their marriage. Bhishma arranges the marriage. The Dhritarashtra get married to what is the name? Of course, we know from Mahabharata discussions also, but last week we read also. Dhritarashtra gets married with, because Bhishma was knowing that the Gandhari had got a benediction from Lord Shiva that she will have 100 sons. And that's what Dhritarashtra was also been blessed by Vyasa, that he will also have 100 sons. And that's what Bhishma arranges. But although the Dhritarashtra was a blind and all, but Gandhari also maintains that chastity of keeping herself also blind. And that's what last week we quite a great length we discussed. So marriage is not for the pleasure purpose, but marriage for the purification purpose. Right? Any relation for that matter. Nowadays the relationships are being happening for entertainment purpose only. Otherwise, then the relationship breaks. But Gandhari did not say, "Arey, my would-be husband is a blind," and it was not that it was cheated her. No, she was knowing also. Right? But then she followed the vows of her ideal wife, chaste wife. That's why she is counted as one among the chaste wife also. And then the Pandu's wife gets married. Pandu gets married to Kunti. And then the third marriage is now going to discuss in our today's reading. So I'll share the Veda base now. Just a minute. Yes, you're able to see. Is it visible, Veda base screen? Yeah. I'll open the book. Yeah. Mahabharata. Sorry. Okay. Now let's read about here. It's where in the discussion of the birth of Kuru elders, Bhishma stood up, the marriage happened, Vyasdev birth, yeah. Ambika gave birth to a blind child, Dhritarashtra, it's maid servant episode. Now we're into the, yeah. King Suvala, the Gandhari's father. That's what last week is. Because then he thought that, okay, fine. The family belongs to the royal dynasty. So it's a worth to give. And Pandu, especially Pandu's marriage, how it happened. That's a Swayamvara, yeah. So without any doubt, everyone, without any taking opposing stand also, straight away Kunti was handed over. Pandu took away the Kunti. And that's what the greatness of Pandu was being witnessed. Yeah. So that's what we stopped last week. Yeah. They came back. Bhima was overjoyed to see a Pandu married to a gentle and beautiful princess, but he also felt the king needed another queen. Although Gandhari had received the benediction that she would bear 100 sons, Kunti had no such boon. Bhishma wanted to ensure that the virtuous monarch was blessed with powerful sons. So he went personally to the kingdom of Mathura to seek the hands of Madri for Pandu. That's what Madri was, a second wife. So because Kunti was not having any benediction as such, it is written here. So to make sure that the proper generation continues, some powerful sons are born. So need some more relations. So Madri was being married. She was under her brother's King Shalya's protection. King Shalya received with all honor Bhishma and his retinue of ministers, Brahmins and Rishis. He brought Ganga's son into his palace and offered him a seat of white ivory. Who is Ganga's son written here? He brought Ganga's son into a palace and offered him a seat of white ivory, studded with precious gems. Then the king bathed his feet and offered him arghya. So this is a welcoming. This is a hospital. Yeah. Ganga's son is none other than Bhishma only. That's Bhishma is written there. Bhishma goes, but then here it is being mentioned about him only. And see what kind of seat was white ivory studded with the precious gems, diamonds, rubies, and all those. Nowadays, people don't ask also for come in, please have a seat, chair. Nowadays, I mean, if there's the guest means it becomes a burden for some people. So rather one should welcome the guest very, very. Even the Mahabharata we read battle time, evening time, Kauravas and Pandavas they lived together. Daytime they used to fight, but that things were kept. So welcoming guest is very, very important. And that's what he washed his feet, offered him arghya, and his reception completed. Bhishma said to King Shalya, "O king, you should know that I am here to seek a maiden. I have heard that you have an illustrious and chaste sister, and I have chosen her for King Pandu. Please tell me if you approve of this arrangement." King Shalya replied that the Kuru house was more than worthy of being allied with his house. There was, however, an ancient custom in his family that no girl could be given in marriage unless the suitor offered a tribute. And something great offering he should do. Now, what is that? Let's see. Bhishma had already heard of this custom because it dated back to the great Brahma himself. He had come prepared and thus replied to Shalya, "There is no fault in this custom, as it has the approval of the self-born creator Brahma." Why Brahma is said as self-born? Self-born creator Brahma. Because Brahma have no mother and father. Of course, it's born through directly navel of Lord Vishnu. So Vishnu is only his father and mother. Swayambhu, self-born. That's what being said. Therefore, please accept the gifts I have brought in exchange of the princess. Bhishma's men then carried in heaps of gold coins, pearls, corals, and gems of various colors, and set them before Shalya. Bhishma also presented the king with the hundreds of elephants, horses, and chariots. This is a dowry. Can you imagine? I mean, kind of a heaps of gold coins. Shalya received all the wealth with a delighted heart. He then gave Madri to Bhishma, who then soon returned to Hastinapur and performed the wedding ceremony. So anywhere else we read about the dowry, giving great offerings. In Krishna book repeatedly we read, various marriages we read, especially Devaki's marriage with Vasudeva. What kind of dowry was given by Devaka? So that's a wonderful description given here. Here some calls are coming. Okay. Pandu established each of his wives in their own splendid palaces and gave himself up to enjoyment with them both. He spotted with the palace groves and gardens, appearing like a celestial with the two beautiful consorts. So Pandu was being
Muted, Prabhuji.
Yeah. You are able to see the screen, right?
Yeah, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay. So this is how the marriage happened, and then let's see the chapter 2. Pandu cursed and blessed. So marriage happened. It's a great, but then now curse and a blessings also. How it is, let us read. Although possessed of all material opulences, Pandu was by nature disinterested in a sensual enjoyment. Having enjoyed with his two wives for only a short while, he found his mind turning to other things. Right, so that's what we said. Relationships are not meant for enjoyment purpose, but for enlightenment purpose. So, especially marriage ceremonies nowadays, how the culture goes, it's very unfortunate thing. The sanctity of that relationship is lost. So we have to understand it's a great responsibility. And that's what Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita. The marriage life, which is as per the scriptural conduct, that I am. Aham kalo, what is that? Kamosmi Bharata Rishabha says. So, but the Pandus, it's a great. Now let's see. Although the Kuru dynasty had for many thousands of years been emperors of the globe and had upheld religious codes, their hold over other things had begun to slip with the death of Shantanu and his two sons. Some of the kings were now becoming arrogant, exceeding their own boundaries and antagonizing weaker kings. So the control was getting lost slowly. Shantanu died, and then all these sons were there, but then overall the things were getting reduced. Pandu felt impelled to take action. Going before Bhishma, he said, "My lord, our dynasty's greatness has suffered diminution. The world is straying from the path of righteousness established by our ancestors. Irreligion is rising. It is my duty to our noble house, and indeed to the Supreme Lord himself, to go out and check the offenders." So here H should be capital. In Prabhupada books, we see H capital for the Lord. But here, the other way, yeah. So this is a very, very important. You see how Pandu is owning the responsibility. Nowadays, some politicians are good, but most of the people that take the post and position, that doesn't bother how the society is going on. Right? Don't we find in the around? Right? Nobody much cares. Okay, fine. I got my post. I'm getting my things. Let's go on. Then again, at the end of the time of election, they will give promises. They will give the things because they want votes. And that's why everything gets topsy-turvy. Everything becomes problematic in the society. Yatha Raja, Tatha Praja. So Raja means Naradev. King is called as Naradev. The god among the humans, Naradev. So best of the person who is a godly in character, he is to be kept as a position of a king. Why? Because he feels the citizens as his own children. And not only humans, but even the animals also. Which famous episode you remember? Where the Raja was even given a justice for the animal case also. Other living entity, apart from humans. So much so that he was ready to give his own body also for the sake of that justice. Which example? You remember a very famous character? It was been the pigeon. Yes, correct. The pigeon. Pigeon comes, says that the eagle is chasing me. And of course, they were none other than gods only, but they wanted to test how the Raja is ruling so righteously. There's a King Shibi's episode. And here also we see Pandu is not ready to sit himself, okay, nice, I am the king now. Let the people go, let me have my things. This is called as owning the responsibility. And that's what very, very important, this line. It is my duty to our noble house, and indeed to the Supreme Lord himself, to go out and check the offenders. Now, neither the ancestors are there for Pandu as such, because only Bhishma is there, finish. Father is not there in one sense. And Bhishma is like a loving grandfather. I mean, kind of equal to father only, but he's like a little bit detached. And Lord is not much in the sense, Lord is not interfering much. He would have left himself, or even if he would have ruled, he would have ruled for his own sake. No, how can we see religious happening in front of us? We are the kings of the world, so let us check the action. So that's what this is a Kshatriya spirit. And moreover than Kshatriya to call as a devotee spirit. Should not allow the religion to predominate. So in our life also we have to check. We should not get strayed away from the wrong things. I mean, by the wrong things. If the wrong things are observed in our life, we should not sit peacefully. Okay, fine, what's wrong? I'm doing for myself. No. First of all, we should purify ourselves and then help the society also to come to the best standard. It's very, very important. Then Bhishma smiled. Here indeed was a worthy descendant of the great Bharat, after whom the very earth had been named Bharata. Right? So this is the same Bharat, Raja Bharat, what we read. He replied, your desire befits our line and is a praiseworthy in every way. Take blessings from the Brahmins and then leave with an army. May victory attend you. So Bhishma is as a fatherly figure. He's not telling, okay, why you're taking so much, be relaxed. No, here is deserved to be the worthy monarch. Here it deserved to be the hero. And then another interesting note, what you're observing, how Bhishma is guiding him. Your desire is befits for our line, praiseworthy, and something more is you're able to observe here. How Bhishma guides Pandu. What is written here? Take blessings from Brahmins. So prayers before, let's say penance before project, prayers before project. That's what we read in which section we read this theme. Prayers or penance before project. Where's the Mahabharata? Only here only we read. Yeah, but this theme comes repeatedly in various things. Anything great we want to do in our life, first seek the blessings. Yeah, correct. In Vyasdeva section we read. Vyasdeva and Vyasdeva said, I would have come in a proper attire. I am coming in a sage attire, but the wives are not ready to undergone. Yeah. So that's what another interesting thing to understand. So that's what before we also do our studies, we also do anything, we should offer prayers. Just pray to the Lord and continue our studies. And after the studies, pray to the Lord, thank you, and again end. Before honoring the food, pray to the Lord. And before getting up from the prasadam, again thank the Lord and continue. So prayer should become the part of our life. Not only on a occasion once in a month or like once in a semester when you go to Tirumala, that only no. That every day prayers are important, because every day we are doing so many things in our life, right? So take the blessings. Blessings empower us. We might be having an X ability, but when we take the blessings from our superiors and especially Brahmins and the devotees, our X ability becomes 2X. Although we don't have, but still that good fortune comes from behind. And all unwanted things get cleared from the life. So this is another interesting thing. Take blessings from the Brahmins. So of course, in a worldly sense, it may not be visible. Oh, Prabhu, I took blessings, but still wrong thing happened to me. How come this? No, temporary, it may look like a wrong thing happened, but something good will surely unfold. Blessings never go in vain. Blessings comes always with us. So let's see. Pandu is now set right for going for conquering the world, removing the irreligious things. Pandu quickly assembled a vast force consisting of infantry, horsemen, elephants, and chariots. As he left Hastinapur, he looked like the king of the gods, surrounded by his celestial army. Pandu marched to the east and defeated the king of the Sharas, who was becoming averse to the Hastinapur rule. So he is the first king to whom he defeated. Moving south towards Magad, where the powerful king Dirgha was assailing many surrounding countries, Pandu attacked the proud king at his capital, Rajgriha, and killed him. So these are the checking the evil forces, not letting them ruling in an illegal way, irreligious way. This is very, very important. Because then what happened, in the Prabhupada says in one of the lecture, the Kashmir king once, they caught the thief or somebody had done something wrong. So right in the assembly, his hands was cut off in front of all. Why it is done in a public place? So that public should learn. If we also do something wrong like this, we are also going to get punished. So we should never do wrong. So punishments are meant for us to reformation. So Pandu is also taking it. Nowadays, nobody knows what happens. They put behind the bars, but punishments are not. So nobody feels any fear also. So that kind of a fear is maintained for doing anything wrong. These actions that need to be taken. So Pandu is setting right. After that, Pandu subjugated several other warlike kings. He ranged across the globe like a fire, his far-reaching arrows, the splendor of his weapons resembling brilliant flames. As his fame spread, monarchs submitted without resistance. Yes, sir. Sorry. Please forgive. Hands up. Yes, we surrender. So as they came to know that Pandu is coming and all, immediately they surrendered. Soon all the world's kings recognized him as the most powerful ruler on the earth. They bowed to him with joint palms and offered tribute to various kinds. After this 1 year campaign, Pandu returned to his capital with the wealth he had obtained. All the Kurus, with Bhishma at their head, came out to greet him. They viewed with delight the train of elephants, oxen, camels, horses, and chariots, all laden with the riches and stretching farther than the eye could see.
Good afternoon, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So this is how.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah. Just maintain silence. Don't speak in the middle. Okay. Yeah. So this is how he gathered so much vast infantries and all those things. Pandu then presented the Kuru elders the precious stones, pearls, coral, gold, and silver piled in heaps, along with the millions of cows, horses, and other animals. He showed them innumerable costly blankets, rugs, and skins from the rare black Renuku deer. So this is how much, what do you call those tributes the kings offered. So all those he gathered and brought it. Pandu bowed at Bhishma's feet as he presented all this wealth, and Bhishma tearfully embraced the young king. Surrounded by Brahmins uttering prayers and benedictions, the two men then mounted a golden chariot and proceeded to the royal palace. Heralded by a fanfare of trumpets, conch, and kettle drums, royal welcome. Pandu ensured that his two brothers were each given much wealth. Right here, another interesting point. Not that because he earned, so he will take everything for himself. He wanted to see my brothers are also there. Both are given. Not only one, but even second also. Although he is born to a servant maid, but because he's my brother, he also should be given. So share and care. Not only grab, but give. Not a grabbing culture, but giving culture. So this is how interesting thing we get to read from these dealings. He had little personal interest in wealth, being more attracted to forest and plains than the luxurious palace life. He loved to mount his stallion and ride out on long hunting expeditions. Thus, a few months after returning to Hastinapur, he decided to make his permanent residence upon a hilly slope of the Himalayan range. He was not much attracted to the kind of a palatial life and all. He had an interest to stay in a forest or like that, it seems. Taking his two wives with him, he left his magnificent palace and moved to a simple dwelling on the mountainside. The local people would see the monarch roaming the woods with his wives, encased in beautiful blazing armor and armed with bows and swords. He resembled a god wandering on earth. So let us see what happens in the forest and how things goes. All those details will come in our next week reading. We'll end with one more paragraph. Dhritarashtra officiated as the king in Hastinapur on behalf of his younger brother. So Pandu went to the forest. Pandu was not much interested in the palace and things. So now there is no king. King is needed. So Dhritarashtra was officiated. At his command, the forest people would supply Pandu with every object of enjoyment. Whose command? You're able to understand? At his command. The forest people would supply the Pandu with every object of enjoyment. Whose command is mentioned here?
Pandu.
No. Pandu is in the forest. Why Pandu will need?
Project Dhritarashtra?
Dhritarashtra. Because Dhritarashtra is a king. So now he is commanding. My brother Pandu should be supplied with everything what is needed. So Pandu was supplied with every object of enjoyment. Pandu had mastered his senses. So although he gracefully accepted their gifts, he continued to live simply. He did not got affected by the allurement of the gifts and all, which were automatically coming. Sent through Dhritarashtra. He went to the forest to live a life simple. Right? Many sages or people also, they retire, but then in the retirement, they enjoy more than while being actually leading. So that should not be the purpose. So Pandu, although got many gifts and all, he continued to live life simply. Now something amazing, not amazing, something strange thing happens in the forest. What that happened and how it turns out and what things unfolds, all those discussions will take in the next Mahabharata study. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So remember today various lessons.
Prabhuji,
Just a minute, I'm not coming.
the class is in
Just maintain a mute. When I ask, then you speak, okay? Yeah, so just to recall today's lessons, today's points. Yeah, anyone have noted? Especially we saw from the dealing of Pandu. Pandu was not ready to see anything irreligion happening in the front. He took the responsibility. He took the something need to be done. How can a religion thing happens in front of us? And another lesson we noticed that how he equally shared the wealth. He did, although he conquered, although he got, but then he shared with all his other king brothers also. But interestingly, he was not attached. He went to the leading a simple life. And although there also the things were coming to him, and although he was having a powers and things, but he did not took much interest in having those things. He led a simple life. So simple living and high thinking. So this is a kind of right. We cannot let the things happen, wrong things in front of us. So taking a responsibility. And another interesting lesson, one more lesson we missed out. Anyone remember? Let us see. Shubham Pru has written that. Yeah, prayers before project. PP, you can. Penance. Prayers and penance before the project. Right? So we saw how Pandu, before setting right, he sought the blessings of the Brahmins as guided by Bhishma. So this is very, very important. We all should also learn the offering the prayers before our studies, before our exams, before anything we do. Even we start our day, before getting out of the bed, remember the Prabhupada, all the Guru Parampara, chant the prayers, and then start the day. Even ending the day also before going down, before lying down on the bed, just offer pranam, the Panchang pranam, and then recite the prayers, and then lie down on the bed. Okay, so these are interesting insights we get to see from these cultural aspects of from this Mahabharata characters. Thank you all for joining. Let us end with Vaishnav Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.
Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.